Everybody, it's David Barry, and I'm super excited. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. If you tried to join our class today, I apologize. I'm having trouble with my Zoom account, and we decided that we would just have one potential home buyer on this podcast. So we have Kimberly Bruno. She's wanted to buy a home really bad. We've got Roseanne Shannon. She's my partner.
Hello.
She's been doing this for 30 years, and we've got Brian from Stewart Title. I'm super excited. And today we got somebody else entering. Oh my God. Oh, this is fun. I know who that is. And we have another person joining in. I think they're just going to be listening in. But this is why I'm so excited is because I actually completed my book. It's Freedom from Rent, and it's a comprehensive guide to stop paying your landlord's mortgage. So without further ado, let's get started with this class. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to rock and roll.
Going on for half an hour.
All
Kimberly,
right.
you know.
Can you turn off? Somebody's got their volume on. All right. All right. So here we go. Let's get started. We'll put that over there. Can you guys see the pictures on the upper left of all the people that are on the call or no? I hope not.
I can see I can just see you and then the picture of the presentation.
So without further ado, we're going to get started. And Kim, I appreciate you coming on to our show today and our podcast. And we're just talking about how do you stop paying your landlord's mortgage? This was a book that I wrote, and I'm super passionate about it. I live this every day. Roseanne, I don't know, what do we talk to? Like 10 to 15 different people every single day. A lot of people I talk to want to rent, but then after we talk to them a little bit, they start to realize that maybe they can buy. Brian, have you seen that as well? I mean, it's such, and that really, I'm passionate about that because I get so excited when somebody thinks they're supposed to rent and then they end up buying. Can I get an amen on that, Roseanne and Brian?
Amen all the time. Yeah.
So I only have a few screens, and I'm going to share some things about the book. And by the way, if you get a chance to watch this recorded version, or if you're watching with us now, I will send you a free copy of this book. By the way, guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but it's 71 pages long. So here we go. So today's agenda in this class, I just want to talk about understanding your financial situation. This is one thing that Roseanne does really, really well. Like before she gets and has a meeting with you and goes on Zoom with you or has a meeting in the office, she really needs to understand your financial situation. We both are passionate, and I know Brian is too as well, why you should never pay rent again. We're going to talk a little bit about home ownership and wealth, the buying process, the benefits of using a licensed realtor like me, the benefits of using a licensed lender like Roseanne, and then we're going to have a summary. So before we start, I know I've been doing all the talking. Roseanne, can you introduce yourself, and Brian, introduce yourself so I don't do all the talking today?
Sure. Hi, I'm Roseanne Shannon with 5 Star Mortgage. I've been in the business 30 years. I love to help people get into houses, I especially love to work with people that don't think they can get into a house, and then I help them. They're thrilled. Yeah. They feel it's very stressful. We try to make it as easy as possible and make their dreams come true.
Mr. Brian? Uh-oh, Brian's muted. Oh no. I told you we were gonna have.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
My name is Brian Holland with Stewart Title. We have been in business in this wonderful country of ours for over 130 years. We specialize in vacant land, residential, commercial, all aspects of real estate. What's my passion regarding converting renters into buyers is just that, watching folks achieve the American dream, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. And David, I'm so glad that you and Roseanne share that same passion as to spearhead podcasts like these, the education to the consumer, because let's face it, guys, I think we can all agree, I think there's a lot of bad information out there that consumers are actually enveloping, which they shouldn't. So hopefully this will correct some of those misnomers about renting versus purchase.
Absolutely. And we have Kimberly Bruno along with us as well. And Kimberly, I understand you were a homeowner and you're looking to get back into being a homeowner again. And so you wanted to tune in and listen. Are you from this area?
Well, first, let me introduce myself properly. I'm Kimberly Houston. And I definitely want to own a home again as soon as I get into the state I'm going to live in. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And
And
who
by the
knows,
way,
maybe here, you never know, right?
Kimberly, it says Kimberly Bruno on there. So I was just, I wanted to-
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
Oh, no worries. All right, let's move on to the next slide. So this one, we talk about your financial situation, and I'm going to kind of let Roseanne talk a little bit about this one. We're going to discuss the concept of pre-qualifying and how important that is, but we're going to talk about affordability, evaluate your financial situation thoroughly to determine if you can afford a monthly mortgage, consider the long-term financial benefits, and be prepared for additional expenses. So Roseanne, if you want to take this one on a little bit and share a little bit of your knowledge. And by the way, I think I said this, but Roseanne has over 30 years of helping people get into a home. So go ahead, take it away, Roseanne.
Okay, so first of all, the pre-qualifying process. Generally, I can tell when I talk to a client, it only takes a few minutes to take your basic information, what your job is, your approximate income, and to figure out your affordability. I generally tell my clients, I usually ask them first, what is their comfort level? How much are they paying in rent? Could they pay a little more if they were buying a house? So I try to start there and work backwards. But a lot of people will approach me and just say, what is the max the maximum amount I can qualify for? So that's where I will ask you for your documentation, your income for the past 2 years, whether they're W-2s or self-employed borrowers, we need your tax returns, paycheck stubs, bank statements, and your IDs. Really, the list is not that long. It's just, a few things. Your income documentation, we run your credit, and then we get your IDs and see your bank accounts where your assets come from. That's if you have to put a down payment on a house. We have a lot of programs where you don't need money down, and in that case, you wouldn't need to provide bank statements, but you would need to provide the other things. So
I imagine that people probably, it's overwhelming to them. And one of the things that Roseanne and I explain to our clients is that it is a step process. People think, oh my gosh, I need to buy, I always share this with my clients. I used to teach martial arts. A lot of you guys know that. Maybe some of you don't. And it never failed. People would come into my school and they would say, I want to be a black belt, and I was like, okay, well, that's great. I can help you do that, but it's not going to happen by tomorrow. And I know, Roseanne, in this world, and by the way, I've been retired from teaching martial arts for about 6 years now, but in this world, it's the same thing, right, Roseanne? It's really overwhelming if you say, oh my gosh, I need to get a house tomorrow. But if you can take it step by step and have a process and work with professionals like Roseanne and I and Brian, it really makes a difference, right, Roseanne?
absolutely. Yep. The first step is just to get your income documentation and get pre-qualified. 'Cause basically, we let you know that you have a loan ready, and now all you need to do is find the perfect home.
So, and then this number 3, I thought maybe you could address this a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next screen, because people may see this slide and they're like, oh, additional expenses. What does that mean? Anticipate for various costs beyond the mortgage, such as property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and unexpected repairs. How do you handle that with your clients, especially the new home buyers?
Yeah, I generally, when we quote a mortgage payment, we let them know, we figure out the taxes and we estimate the insurance. And we explain that all those things are going to be in the payment. Whereas, rent payment obviously is just rent.
Right.
And then when they're renting, the landlord pretty much pays for any repairs. Try to make sure they get a home warranty, which helps cover any unexpected repairs. But usually, the debt to income ratio kind of keeps them in line so that they really can afford the house.
Understood. And Kimberly, how you doing over there? You have any questions so far? Uh-oh.
I had to unmute myself.
Oh.
I did. Oh shoot. What was the difference between, you said in the first case where you would go through your financials and your bank statements, yada yada, and then you said the next option is you do all the other things but not the bank. What is the difference between the two? Like, why would there be one or the other?
So if you're buying a house and say you're buying, you're doing a minimum down payment, say 1%. I mean, we have 1% programs, we have like 2% programs, 3%. So say you were just doing a regular FHA, 3.5% down payment. We would need bank statements, 2 months worth, to see that you had the ability to put the down payment. And it would need to be in the bank, seasoned. You can't just pull it out of underneath your mattress. But if you were doing a no money down program where you weren't required to put any money down, then we wouldn't need your bank statements because you wouldn't be coming into the closing table with any money. So we wouldn't have to source anything.
Gotcha. That
So,
makes sense. Okay. I missed that part, like one or the other. Okay. Thank you for explaining that.
no
And
problem.
And you know what? Roseanne and I do this every day. And and the thing about that I love about Roseanne is if I'm talking to a client, and like I said, I usually talk to at least 10 people every day about real estate. And I say, well, let's get our lender on the phone. I call Roseanne, and 99% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, she picks up and we get those questions answered. But the one thing that's crazy is everybody gets so overwhelmed. They're like, oh my God, I gotta have bank statements, I gotta have my pay stubs, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. It's a process. Don't get overwhelmed. It takes time. And when you have professionals helping you, it really makes a difference. All right, next slide, guys. Let's see what we got. So why you should not pay rent? These were some facts about renting. And one of the first ones, building equity. So I think, Roseanne, it's not funny, but it is actually a fact. I mean, when you pay $2,000 a month in rent, over the next 2 years, you're basically throwing $50,000 out the window. You are not going to get any upside. Is that true, Roseanne?
No, yeah, absolutely. 2000, say for like I know the next slide has a scenario, but say 2000 and you paid, I don't know, maybe a 5-year lease, it's $120,000. So that's a lot of money that you just paid the mortgage or your landlord,
Yeah, and
So
that's our motto, Roseanne, is we're talking about stop paying your landlord's mortgage. It's time to stop paying his mortgage and start
Yep.
building equity for yourself. So,
Yep.
and then the other thing about the rent is you have the control and stability. Renting often comes with uncertain, such as potential rent increases. I've heard horror stories about this. Brian, I'm sure you have too, where people have called me up and they're like, oh my God, they're raising my rent $500 a month starting next month.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time. Yes.
They freak out. And then the other one we get a lot, right, Roseanne, is when they call me up and they say, hey, my seller just told my landlord said he's going to sell his house. Kim, I think you told me that actually happened to you. And they give you 30 days. They're like, okay, the seller wants to sell his house. You're out. So you have no stability. People think that renting a lot of times, and there was one more thing that I'm definitely going to hit today, Roseanne, and it's coming. Roseanne and I talk about this every day, is we just keep hearing people say, I just want to wait till the interest rates come down. That's another topic. I'll hold on to that one, but that one scares me.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Yeah.
talk about that. We're going to dive into that. But so anyway, having the stability of having your own home, and then do you want to share a little bit about tax benefits when they own as opposed to renting?
Yeah, the tax codes change all the time. So before you were able to, all the interest that you paid on your mortgage, you wrote that off. I think with the Trump tax cuts, it was such a big amount, most people didn't get a write-off. But if you have more than one property, the mortgage interest comes off on your properties. So yes, that's true. You get the tax benefit when you own multiple properties. And I think that we're going to go back to where we're individually writing off our mortgage interest again, because I think that whole Trump tax cut was just temporary.
And what kind of a tax benefit do you get when you're renting?
Zero.
Next
Your
screen.
landlord gets a tax benefit though.
Oh, we don't want to pad his pockets. All right, now the next screen, this one, I really like this screen. Roseanne is really good at breaking this down. I went to a seminar, it might have been one of Roseanne's seminars. I don't remember which lender it was, but man, I couldn't believe the numbers when we were talking about the real difference between rent and buy. When you talk about throwing $120,000 out the window of your car because you rented for 5 years, and you talk about just on a mild, what is it, Brian? I mean, a mild appreciation. If we're talking 7 to 12% appreciation over the last 10 years.
If that matter of fact, that was part of my presentation today to talk about there is a very steady but a mild swelling in home appreciation throughout the valley as we speak.
So, and when you think about the actual money lost, I know it's painful for you to hear this, but Roseanne is not too far off when she says you just spent $120,000. And if you'd have bought 3 or 4 years ago, imagine you sell your house right now and you get a check for 60,000.
Well, using this scenario that we have on the slide, $350,000 home, a 5-year period with a monthly payment, a rent payment of $2,300, that equals, after 5 years, that equals $138,000 in rent that you paid. And then when you look at that same house, if you look at the appreciation each year, it goes up. Average in Las Vegas is 6% a year. So if you average 6% a year, then at the end of 5 years, you would have $105,000 in equity in your home. People borrow against their equity, they pay off their cars, they're able to leverage that equity, maybe even to buy another home and create more wealth for themselves.
I have a question. So who gets the equity if I paid the rent for 5 years? Does somebody get it or does it just go away? Who gets that equity?
We're back to the landlord again. I think he gets
Oh,
that.
no, not the landlord. Oh, that ugly landlord. And by the way, I do talk to a lot of clients and they say, we love our landlord. Yeah, that's fine. You can love
He
your
loves you
landlord.
too.
You can have dinner with him. You can be his friend. You can even go play sports with him, go play golf with him. But please don't pay his mortgage, right, Roseanne?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, renting, you have the flexibility not being tied to a long-term mortgage. There are some benefits, but they're very short benefits. And you certainly, I mean, if you're going to do it for a year, we understand. And I do get people that say, here's the deal. This is really important. If you're going to be in your house for more than 2 years in this market, Brian, don't you agree that if it's over 2 years, you really need to think about buying?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't understand where there's never a bad time to buy, because once you build that equity, things work out. You can always refinance, but that's not my that's not my wheelhouse. I'll let Roseanne do that part.
Yeah.
Well, and Roseanne said this the other day to one of our clients. She actually said, if you decide that you want to move back to Colorado and you have a VA loan, you can use that property as a rental property, right? Isn't that what you told me?
Yeah. If they change their mind, and then they can always rent it. I mean, obviously the rents are going up. I think, aren't we one of the highest rents cities and
Per
around?
capita,
I mean,
yes.
really?
Yeah. And that's a fun fact. I think I mentioned that on one of our podcasts before, but if you're driving around Las Vegas, over 51% of every home you pass is a renter. And I believe that's the highest per capita in the United States. We have more renters. And don't get me started with property managers. I think, Kim, you shared with me a couple weeks ago that you had an interesting situation with your property manager, but it is kind of embarrassing the way that we handle our rental clients. Imagine not having to deal with the property manager anymore. And you are your own property manager. And I tell my clients, I don't want to really talk too much about rental stuff, but my goodness, if you want to paint your wall in your bathroom, you got to call your property manager and say, is it okay if I paint my bathroom? And when you own, you have so much more freedom. So anyway, ultimately, the decision depends on your financial situation, long-term goals, and lifestyle preferences. Buying it will offer more wealth building advantages, while renting will provide flexibility and fewer responsibilities. So even, in some of you guys watching this, you may be thinking, well, I'm not even sure if I'm going to stay in Vegas. Roseanne, you have so many clients. I mean, doing this 30 years, how many clients do you have where they have 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 different properties? And how are they doing?
They're doing good. Yeah, I have clients that if they move out of Vegas, if they sell, they've built so much equity to go buy something else, maybe in a different state, or they rent, or then they come back, just all kinds of things happen.
So before we get to the next screen, maybe Roseanne, you can talk a little bit about this. And I was on the phone today with a client and I was explaining this. And this scenario is most people think, and I actually had a client say this to me, Roseanne. They said, if I'm gonna buy it, I shouldn't have to pay as much as I would pay in rent. And it really made me think that our market and the way that real estate works nowadays is different. Because in the old days, you could actually buy it and pay less. You just have to come in with a heavy down payment. But now, in order to buy, you have to pay maybe $300, $400, $500 more than you would for that same house in rent. But before we move to the next slide, Roseanne, can you touch on that again? And how do you explain to your clients that they say, I could rent this house for $2,300. Why would I spend $2,600 a month and own it?
Yeah, and that variable changes all the time, because sometimes it's cheaper to buy than it is to rent. And it depends on the amount of rentals and the market and the availability. I think that our community, a lot of hedge funds came in and bought homes and are, like you said, are renting them. So that happened, I think, during COVID, after COVID. But there have been plenty of times where it's the opposite. So right now, I think because the interest rates are a little bit high, that it's slightly higher to buy, but it's ultimately you marry the house, you don't marry the rate,
Yeah.
because we can always refinance. The
Right.
rates are going to go down, especially this year. And we'll be able to refinance you and get you in a lower payment.
Understood. Next slide. So the buying process, I wanted to spend a little bit of time because this is the overwhelming part sometimes. And I'll talk about the left side, and I think I'm going to let Roseanne talk about the right side, or I can chime in a little bit on both. But one of the things as a martial arts master instructor, I like to remind people of is you have to have realistic goals. And just like I used that example where somebody came in and said they want to be a black belt by tomorrow, that's not realistic. And I know that people are smart enough to know you can't have a house tomorrow. It's just not going to happen. So make sure that you have clear objectives. Outline clear objectives before buying. You want to set specific measurable goals. Break it up, and then you can track your progress. Remember, it's a process. It's not just I'm going to be able to do everything. And there's a lot. And that's why people get so overwhelmed, is because they don't realize that it is a step process. Make sure you consider your resources and constraints. And did we lose somebody? No, I think we're good. Create a timeline and make sure you consider your timeline. The next thing I wanted to, can you guys still hear me okay?
Yep.
We lost Brian. I lost his video.
I can hear you. I can hear everything. I just have to turn my camera off because I'm moving around way too much in my kitchen.
Oh, no problem. So Roseanne, if you want to talk about the buying process, that would be awesome.
Okay. So I'll go through the slide a little bit. So assess your readiness. That's basically evaluating your financial situation, which I will help you with. If your credit isn't up to par, I can help raise the credit score. So we can get you in a place where you can buy. That's the second one, the being pre-approved. So we get your financial information and we have basically get you really approved for a loan. And it's called a pre-approval because you don't have an address yet to put in the loan.
Mhm.
So once we get you pre-approved, we send you out there with David to find the perfect house. And once you make an offer, we go over all the particulars, the amount, so you're prepared what you're going to come into the closing table with, or how much your payment is going to be, and we make sure that you're ready for that process.
Should they ever go looking for a house without a pre-approval letter?
They should not go looking for a house without a pre-approval letter, because most of the time you can't even see a house because the sellers don't want to show you their houses without a pre-approval letter.
Oh.
And they should never go out looking at houses without a realtor either. So yeah. And then obviously, David, you're going to set them up on a search and their criteria. You're going to help them find what part of town they want to be on, how big of a house they want. You know how to do all that.
Yeah, that's my stuff. And then actually, yeah, that's true. So I guess I should take it from here. So when we do your house hunting, I mean, you have to tell me what you want. And I don't want to be showing you houses in Green Valley when you really want to live in the Southwest or and live in Summerlin. So this is really, really important when we build the filters. And then I can set you up on a campaign where you actually get to see houses that are coming soon to market. And you also get to see houses that are already on the market that meet all your criteria. Now, once we make an offer, we're gonna submit as competitive offer as I can. You know, when I represent a seller, I try to get them the highest and best price for their house. But when I represent the buyer, what I've been doing, and I've been very successful in getting seller concessions. And Roseanne's been in the industry longer than I have. Had my license for 14 years. But Roseanne's been doing this for 30 years, so she's seen a lot of the ups and the downs. And it wasn't that long ago where seller incentives didn't happen. And if you didn't offer $10,000 to $20,000 over the asking price, you were not getting the house. And it was crazy because they were telling the buyers, don't even bother doing an inspection. We are not fixing anything. And if you don't come in with a 10% over asking price, you're not getting the house. And now the market is completely shifted. There's not very many buyers in the market. So sellers are coming in with $8,000 to $15,000. And Roseanne, I do want you to touch on this, because what does that mean for the buyer when the seller is going to pay? They might even pay enough to where they could do a 2-to-1 buy down, and they may pay all of the closing costs. And then what does that ultimately mean for buyers?
For the buyer, that saves you a lot of money. That saves you either closing costs if you're doing a no money down and you qualify for that program, and the seller's paying concessions. You basically could get in to the house with no money down. Or if you did a 2-1 buy down, say because the interest rates are a little higher right now, there's a portion that the seller would pay for the buy down, and that money would go into an escrow account, and you would keep that money to help. It actually helps make your payment lower for 2 years. If you happen to refinance within the 2 years, that you could actually use that extra money in the escrow account to bring your principal down. So it's really a good program. It really is beneficial right now.
So a 2-to-1 buy down, is that where you the rates are at 6.5, and then they get the rates at 4.5 in the first year and 5.5 in the second?
That's exactly right.
Okay. And then hopefully by the third year they're refinancing with you, right? And they're getting that rate down to 4 or 4.5%, hopefully locked in, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, and then of course, as a buyer's agent, I'm representing you, and I'm trying to get you the best house with the best terms, with the best everything. I want to make sure that we get an inspection done. So we would do our due diligence. It's usually typically 10 days for due diligence, and then I would, if there's problems with the house, I'm certainly going to ask the seller that he needs to fix this, and that's why the inspection is so important. And then this last part, I can't even read it. Can you see the bottom one?
Yes.
Number
Close
7.
the deal. Finalize the purchase by signing all your paperwork at the closing table, which I will be there for. Make sure you guys, I'll hold your hand and serve you coffee and bring you a little housewarming gift. This is where we make sure that the seller concessions are included on the final paperwork, and this is where the transfer of title happens and you will get your keys.
You know, and again, this is really just, I just wanted to touch on the book that I wrote, and I'm just kind of highlighting the book. I mean, we could have a 5-hour class. And if you like this content, please definitely comment, shoot me an email, let me know you like the comment. And we do this. We may start doing this every month. We are definitely going to be doing it every quarter. And this is our first one of the year. So I know that everybody always thinks, you know, the realtor gets really excited. I mean, it's so exciting to be handing those keys to our client. But also, you guys have to realize most of the time, the lender will come in, Roseanne will come in with me, and we're handing the keys together. And I mean, we really are passionate about this. It's not just like, oh yeah, I sold another home. I mean, and my clients, and I know that because I've become family, Roseanne actually sold me, I got a loan from her, I think maybe 20 years ago. It was a long time ago. And, you know, you become friends, you become family. And by giving the keys, I get goosebumps. I'm thinking about it right now. I get so excited when I'm handing my client the keys because it's not easy and it is overwhelming. How many steps are there, Brian? 50, at least 100?
At least, and especially depending on the complexity of the transaction itself. But yes.
So handing the keys, we get super excited. I mean, I get emotional, they get emotional, everybody's emotional. That people are hugging, they're jumping up and down, they're so excited. So anyway, let's move on. Don't get me started, I guess. We'll get on to the next slide. So the benefits of having a licensed realtor like myself. This is really, really important. And I mean, sometimes we hear these horror stories where people are like, you know, I'm just going to do it by myself. I don't really need a realtor. As a licensed realtor, we have a fiduciary relationship with you. We have a responsibility to you that we're going to represent you, and we are going to get, and if I really truly hope that you get somebody like me that is going to fight. I am a fighter. I told you before, I taught martial arts for 35 years, and I take those skills in. I feel like I'm going into the ring when I'm working with a seller, and I'm going to beat them up as much as I can for you because I have your best interest at heart, and I am going to fight for you to get you everything that you want and to get you the price that you want. So, and by the way, if you don't know this about me, I've been here since 1975. I went to school here. I've lived here my entire life. I consider myself to be an expert at negotiations, and I will battle. I will go back and forth. I mean, we have counteroffer, 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 and we just keep going back and forth until I get it for my clients.
You're one of the best negotiators I've ever met. I'm sorry, I just had to chime in.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the endorsement. And then, of course, I have the access to the listings. So I have every house that's on the market. I have coming soon listings. I have pocket listings where I have friends and relationships with other realtors that they're not even in the coming soon listings. So, and then by having Brian at Stewart Title, who always hooks me up, he always helps me with, you know, things like that and helping me with different areas. I really, really go the extra mile. Brian, you've been so quiet. I feel like I'm doing all the talking, but I get really passionate about helping people to stop paying their landlord's mortgage. Brian,
No,
go ahead.
absolutely. You know what? As you were talking about the feelings that most of us feel when we're handed the keys to our home for the first time, it actually brought me back to 1994 when I was handed the keys by my realtor and my lender, keys to my very first condominium in Summerlin. And I walked in and everything was brand new, and I was like, "This is mine. This
Yeah.
belongs to nobody. This is mine." And the sense of joy, the sense of the proud, and it
Yeah.
lasted for months and months of it. Just
I
every time
bet.
you walk in the door, every
Yeah.
time you walk out of the door, every time you walk into the garage, the
Yeah.
kitchen. It's amazing. Yeah, it's truly a great feeling. And like you and Roseanne, I love to be there when I see someone grab those keys for the first time. It's special.
Roseanne?
Oh, I already chimed in on that. I love it. That's my passion. I'm tenacious. I like to help people, even if they have maybe even some hurdles to overcome. I'm there for them to get the process finished.
Oh my gosh, Roseanne could tell you story after story. I mean, she's told me stories about lenders that just dump these clients. You know, they're close, but they sometimes lenders are lazy and they just don't, you know, they go, I can't really help you, and they move on.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that's why me and Roseanne get along so well, is because we fight, and we fight for the little guy. I mean, I could tell you so many stories about clients that I've helped, and they literally said to me, I know that I have to rent. I'm probably going to have to rent forever. And then when they find out that there's no money down programs, one of the biggest objections that Roseanne gets is people say, well, you know, I would love to own a home, but I just don't have the money. The government has changed that now, and there are programs where you can come into a home and you can get in there with no money down. And all three of us, it's so cool that somebody from my title company, Stewart Title, he was getting chills, and I promise. I know you guys can't see it on my arm, but I was getting goosebumps thinking about handing keys to my clients. And I mean, I've had clients that are crying; they have tears in their eyes. It's just, it is such a wonderful thing. And anyway, if any of my friends out there are watching this that are thinking about becoming a realtor someday, I want to make sure that you understand this is a really, really hard job. But Brian and I had lunch the other day, and we were talking about how realtors, a lot of times they'll say, oh yeah, I just want to be a realtor. I heard you guys don't really have to work that hard, and you make a lot of money. And or Roseanne has heard that story. Well, you know, I heard that lenders make a lot of money and they don't really have to work very hard. You know, they just get paid a lot. And it's so untrue. We do so much for our clients. Number four, guidance through the process. So I take you from the beginning. I hook you up with Roseanne, and I take you and get you that pre-qual letter. And then I make sure that I'm sending you homes that meet your criteria. And you can tell me, you know what, you're missing the boat here. Let's change this. And so I start sending you homes, and all I need is just a little feedback from you, and I promise I'll be sending you homes that you fall in love with. And then the protection and the support of knowing that you have a licensed realtor that is basically holding your hand all the way through, so that you are protected and you're safe, and you're going to have that home, and you're going to have so many great memories. So I did a lot of talking, Roseanne. It's your turn. Here you go. Take it away.
It's my turn.
Yep.
Okay, so I got to talk about myself and all that I am and
The benefits of having a licensed lender. And there's your beautiful picture over there on the left side.
oh, how nice of you. Okay, so the first one is that we're obviously licensed by the state. Back, I don't even know, it was like before 2008 when the mortgage crash happened. Everybody was a loan officer. Bartenders were loan officers. I mean, they would be signing applications at the bar. So, you know, I mean, it was a little bit of a kind of a cowboy western movie, you know, but now there's a lot of regulations and testing, and which kind of weeded out people that were not full-time loan officers that knew what they were doing and were able to help people. A lot of times I have clients will come to me and say, oh, I went to this company and they said they can't help me, and it's just because they didn't know what they were doing. So that really has helped the industry a lot. I'm here to give you my advice. I can show you all your options as far as loans go. And then, you know, it's ultimately it's your choice, you know, which scenario best fits your needs, which payment, which down payment, which program, you know, depending on your situation. But we can go over all those things and I can give you my advice on each one. Um, Again, about the local market, we know that things have changed in the market. There's a lot of investors that have saturated the market, which has raised a lot of the rent prices. And with the interest rates where they are, we know that there are a lot of sellers that are willing to contribute. So I know people say they want to wait until the interest rates go down, but when the rates go down, the prices are going to go up. And
Always,
then
yeah.
it's going to be a madhouse again, where it's $50,000 above appraised value. And, you know, none of my everyday buyer, first time home buyer doesn't have 50,000 to pay extra for a house. So,
Mhm.
you know, so it doesn't make sense to wait, especially for the first time home buyers. I help to streamline the process, working with me and my team. I'll give you a list of documents I need. If you don't have them, I can help you get them. If they're not applicable to your situation, then obviously we won't need those. So it's not as hard as it sounds. It's just a few items, and then we can work through the rest. And then just again, our customer support, our slogan is service is our specialty at 5 Star. So we're here to help our clients. You can check our Google reviews and Yelp, and we've been in business since 2002, and we really strive to just help our clients, and we really work on a referral basis. You know, our old clients refer us new clients, and like David, you know, working with him and having his clients meeting their needs, and then they refer clients as well. So yeah.
Um, and you know, it's so awesome to hear her passion. I just feel it. I can feel how passionate she is and how she takes these clients on, and they become family members to her. This is a really big deal. This is not, we don't take this lightly. This is a big deal, getting your house. And I just highly recommend Roseanne, if you're thinking about buying a house, you really need to call her. She will take care of you. She will figure out, she is so creative. You know, and she deals with clients all the time. I talked to 3 other lenders. They said I couldn't do anything, and the next thing you know, she's closing on a house for these clients, and she's been doing that for 30 years. Now, Brian, I apologize. I put this
Oh,
together.
sure.
I put this show together today, Brian, and I don't have your beautiful picture and your whole little
Oh,
thing.
no.
But I'm going to let you talk a little bit about Stewart Title, and
Yes.
some people don't really understand what the title process is, and maybe you could share some fun facts about this amazing valley we live in Southern Nevada.
All right. Well, first and foremost, Stewart Title. Again, we are a full service title and escrow company. Basically, what that means is we are a neutral third party. We make sure that the seller is getting a property that is free and clear from any liens brought on by the previous owner. So when the buyer takes possession of the property, the only thing they're responsible for is the mortgage. So if there's anything missed in a title search, the title insurance policy would supersede and take care of that. A lot of folks ask me, they say, Brian, you know, a title insurance policy on a $300,000 or $350,000 home, isn't it very expensive? It's not. And the difference between a title insurance policy and a car insurance policy is there's only a one-time fee. You pay the one time, and it lasts as long as you or your heirs own the property. There's never an increase in value. We're never going to knock on your door and say your property increased, so you owe us more money for your title insurance. Title insurance typically will cover court fees, attorney's fees, if we should end up in court over a title dispute.
Mhm.
And another benefit about utilizing Stewart Title is we are one of the few title companies in Clark County that we offer a first-time home buyers discount. And
Mm.
what does that mean as a first-time home buyer? If you can be a first-time home buyer and you've owned a home in the past, as long as you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, you are now back into the category of a new home buyer, of
Mm.
which you would qualify for a discount on your your title policy and your
Mhm.
escrow fees. You would receive a discount being a first-time home buyer. So one of the many benefits that I enjoy marketing this great company, and again being part of the achieving the American dream and the home buying experience.
And any fun facts about Las Vegas? How long you've been here, and anything that you've seen in the real
Oh,
estate market that just is kind of one of those like, I can't
you
believe
know,
it happened.
well, you know what, David, one of the things that really sticks out in my mind is I've been a resident since 1994. Now, back in 1994, 95, you know, what have you, there were no stadiums, no coliseums. I mean, we had a couple of baseball fields and a stage here or there in some of the hotels. And
Right.
then one day, you know, someone said, What if we had three major venues that would have sports, concerts, plays, things of that nature? And they said three, or we would never support it. I think we have four, and there's a fifth coming. So no, Vegas. I love the commercial growth here. With commercial growth comes residential. I pay a lot of attention to that. With all the sports that we have, with the entertainment that we offer, I'm sorry. I challenge anybody to tell me where is a better city to live, eat, work, and play than Las Vegas.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. Do you have something, Roseanne? I've been here since 75, so I think I have you all beat.
Yeah, you got me.
Actually, I think, Kim, I was talking to you the other day, and you said you've been here since 72?
74.
74. So, oh, she's got me beat
Oh.
by a year. Okay.
Gotcha.
Roseanne?
I have been here since 80, I want to say 83.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a minute. That's a minute.
yep,
That's a long
it is.
time. And then this last slide, and I was trying to keep it around 35, 45 minutes. I didn't want to get to an hour. I think we're at about 35 minutes. And this last questions and answers and comments, because of this was our first time, we decided not to have 12 or 15 people, but we do have this recorded and we are going to be sending this out. I want to bring back one topic before we leave, because this one is so important. And I don't remember who it was, but I actually stole this from somebody, and they put their hands like this and they said, you know, when the interest rates go down, the home prices go up. But you can never have a low interest rate and a low housing price. So if the housing market is stable and the interest rates are coming down a little bit and somewhat stable, and this guy that I got this from, he said, why not buy now when the houses are stable and the interest rates are somewhat stable? And then when the interest rates come down, you can refinance. But we have to address this. I feel like we're doing a disservice if we're talking about how to stop paying your landlord's mortgage. We have to talk about it because I hear it over and over and over again. And I know you guys do too. Please share with me, maybe 1 minute or two. What do we say and how can we help people that say, I'm just going to wait to buy a house. I got to wait till these interest rates come down. Roseanne?
Well, it's exactly what you say. So say if a person was looking at a house right now and the house was 400,000 and you know, they bought right now at 400,000. When the interest rates drop, that same house may cost them 450,000. You know, so it doesn't really make sense. They've lost $50,000, where when the rates go down, they can just easily refinance with me and lower their payment. So that's, I just try to stress that to people all the time.
Brian?
Really, the only thing that I can add to that, because Roseanne hit the nail on the head, she said everything. The only thing I can really add to that is perhaps folks may want to stop getting their real estate information from one source and running with it as the gospel to do some due diligence on your own. Do some other research. Ask other professionals their opinion. Get your information from multiple sources, then formulate an opinion. But other than that, I really can't. I can't top what Roseanne said and what you said before, because you said it all.
Yeah, I mean what a great great advice, Brian. Thank you so much, because you don't want to listen to Fox News. You don't want to listen to CNN. You don't even want to listen to the local news when they tell you, because sometimes, guess what? The media lies.
They have it wrong.
Yeah, but by having, and see, the thing is that's so amazing about this industry, I have clients that say, well, you know, I just didn't really think I should ask that. Ask everything. We're never offended by any questions. We're more offended that you feel uncomfortable asking a question. Ask every question. And the greatest thing about this industry is that you get my advice for free. You get Roseanne's advice for free. And if you meet Brian, if you ever have the chance to meet him, he's an amazing guy. He'll give you his advice for free. But you don't just take one person's advice. Roseanne, I think we had somebody the other day that said, well, my uncle told me that, well, okay. I know you're close with your uncle. He's probably a really smart guy, but don't just listen to your uncle,
Yeah,
right?
true, true.
So
The
anyway,
minute,
so
the
as we're
minute people, the minute people start looking at houses, everybody comes out of the woodwork with with an opinion, you know?
right,
So,
yeah, that is so true. And as we wrap up this has been so much fun, by the way. Time has flown by. We did have a couple of technical difficulties in the beginning, but it's our first one and of many. If you guys have anything that you want to say in closing, or if you had any other comments that you guys wanted to share with our audience, I will allow you to do that. And then on the bottom, you can see here, it says closing can happen in 30 to 60 days. Once in a while, we'll have a closing that happens in 3 weeks, but you should plan on 30 to 60 days. And remember, I put it in with an exclamation point. Remember to ask all questions. There are no dumb questions in this industry. And in closing, please, Roseanne and Brian. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to ask Kim, did you have, we covered a lot of stuff. That was a lot of information. Kim, did you have anything that we missed or any questions?
No, actually, there's several things I never really understood or knew about, and yeah, it was very educational. I learned a lot.
That was a
I
lot.
did.
That was a
I
lot of
did.
information. It really was.
Sorry, I just whistled in your guys' ear, by the way, too. My dog is deaf and she only hears if I whistle. She's about to run into a wall. I
Oh, no.
apologize.
And Brian, in closing, any
Yes.
comments or suggestions or anything?
No, you know what? Again, I've been doing this 21 years, and nothing excites me more than watching the new home buying process.
Thank you, Brian. Roseanne, what do you have in closing?
just for anybody that's interested in, even talking about getting pre-qualified, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to call me. I'm easy to contact, I'm easy to talk to, and, yeah, my clients will call me anytime when they have questions, no matter what.
And again, I'm David Barry. I'm the author of Freedom from Rent, Stop Paying Your Landlord's Mortgage. You can reach me at 702-374-1771. You can reach Roseanne at 702-281-8080. That's her cell number. Some lenders don't give out their cell number, but again, she's treating you like family. She's going to take care of you. You can call either one of us. We would love to talk to you. We'll give you a free consultation. We'll see if we can figure out a way to get you to become a homeowner, and we can start getting you the check when it's time for you to move. And I mean, there's nothing better than I hey